everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to, what's one of the first live streams in a long time for myself. My name's Chris CALC. I'm a product specialist for Novation. And in this live stream, we've got some pretty exciting news. I guess we've got a brand new product to talk about, the Launch Control XL. Here it is in all its glory. It's a real pleasure to have this out there now, so we can start to talk about it and start to see what people can do with the brand new controller. So Launch Control XL, I mean, the original has been out for a good long while. I would say maybe 12 years or something like that, and it's a fantastic controller. You know, pretty much the same kind of layout as we have here, with all the pots and the faders on there. So 24 knob controllers, 8 fader controllers, a whole load of buttons as well. But the Launch Control XL3, this is the Launch Control XL3. Is basically taking it to a whole new level, I would say, and it's bringing some really important shifts and developments to this controller. So whatever type of thing you're controlling, the Launch Control XL has pretty much got you covered, and there's a lot of really kind of clever stuff that we can do. So in the live stream, we're going to have, I would say, quite a deep dive into kind of the workings of the Launch Control XL3, you know, kind of how we can set up our own custom mappings, how we can use it to control our DAW software. And also, I'll just give you a sneak peek of this wide shot here. This is kind of a little bit of a hardware layout that I've got set up as well. So we'll explore again how we can use the Launch Control XL as a hardware controller for external hardware devices, and how we can kind of use it as a hybrid a kind of routing system to control your DAW and the hardware at the same time. So there's a lot of stuff for us to get through. But I think we should start off with a little bit about actually what the hardware is all about itself. You know, I've mentioned already that we've got the knobs on here. There's a big change really from the original. The original uses potentiometers, but now we're on to encoders. Now, obviously, with encoders, this is a really strong update for when you're working within your DAW, because essentially you don't have to worry about any kind of DAW pickup or anything, pot pickup or anything quite like that, because the encoders are always having a two-way conversation there with the software via the scripts that are created. So this opens up a lot more kind of usability, certainly within the DAW world. And also, when you're working with hardware as well, these encoders, essentially, they're going to behave just like pots. We'll explore a little bit of the kind of what we call the acceleration in there. One thing that might concern you, because it's an encoder, is you might have to keep turning and keep turning and keep turning to get to maybe the top of the range of one of your controls. But actually we can just do it very swiftly and very quickly because we have this nice acceleration that's kind of built in there. So alongside the encoders, we've got our 8 faders here, 60mm faders. So we've got quite a bit of depth of control with these, quite a bit of nice kind of refined precision mixing. They feel great as well. They feel really nice under the fingers. And yeah, they've just got a really great flavor to them. They're really nice. We've also got a series of different buttons down at the bottom here. These have different kind of uses depending on what you're connected to, what you're doing, and you can even create your own kind of mappings for these switches and do some quite clever stuff with that if you wanted to do that as well. Alongside that, of course, we've got these kind of navigation switches down the side here. So we've got page up and down, the track left and right buttons. We've also got record and play. This is dedicated really at the moment to DAWs. We've got a shift button, and we've got our mode buttons as well. The mode button is a button that we use a lot with Launch Control XL, because that allows us to shift between all the various different custom modes and DAW modes that we've got in the hardware. Another big deal is, of course, the screen. Now, if I get a bit clever here and switch over to this shot, here we go, you can see the screen. And this, I think, is a really big deal now. Of course, this is going to basically open up the possibility of just without having to stare at the computer screen, knowing what you're controlling. And you can see here, as soon as you grab hold of a control here, it's going straight to the track name, the type of control it is, and it's giving you a value as well. So a lot of really great feedback coming back from that screen. So that in itself is really, yeah, I would say a really big development in the Launch Control XL. Now, of course, we've got the hardware here, we've got the controls, we've looked at those, but one thing that I am so happy to see, and that is DIN MIDI connections on the back. In fact, actually, I've got a second unit here. I'll just lift this up and show you the back shot. There we go, full size MIDI in, out, through, or we can switch that to be a secondary MIDI out. So we've got basically hardware covered at last. We've got USB, of course, as well for connecting to the computer or any other kind of host device that can power as well, which is interesting. We'll look at that shortly too. But that for me is a really big deal because, well, as you can see in this room, I'm kind of surrounded by quite a bit of hardware, and 5-pin MIDI DIN is a really important thing for me in my world of controlling synthesizers and stuff. So to have that, it's a really neat thing there as well. So yeah, I guess we should probably think about how we can use the Launch Control XL. We've had a bit of a rundown of what's on there, so let's take a look. Now, one thing that I would say is that the original Launch Control XL, the first iteration of it, and then I guess the Mark II, which was pretty much the same unit with a color change, and we get to Launch Control XL3, we've really opened up the, well, the amount of doors that it will actually directly work with. The original controller, the original Launch Control XL, was really dedicated for Ableton Live. You know, at Novation, we've got a strong partnership with Ableton. We work very closely with those guys, and we work with those to deliver what we would call a script. And a script is basically a little bit of software or kind of wrapping, if you like, that holds within the DAW software to allow our controllers to speak to their software and give us some nice kind of deep integrated control. Now we've opened that right up, so we've got much more DAW options available to us. So we've got, well, in fact, let's just take a look. I mean, I'm going to start off with Cubase here. So I've got Cubase opened up, and I have to say that Cubase is not necessarily my kind of main DAW, so I'm kind of a little bit new, new to kind of working with Cubase. Generally, I will sort of sit with Ableton myself, but of course, you know, there are so many DAWs out there and so many different, different people work with different DAWs, I guess. So that's it. So yeah, here we've got Cubase. I've got a little example open. And obviously the first thing that we can see here is we've got all these 8 faders, and I'm looking at the mixer or the mix console within Cubase. Now, just so we can check this, so we've got a mode button here, and we've got 2 different levels of DAW control. We've got mixer control, which is this one here, and we've got what we call DAW control, which is the second button up here. Now, the difference is that the DAW mixer setting will basically give us full access into the mixer, which is of course what the Launch Control kind of looks like, right? We've got a kind of a mixer layout here, so it leans perfectly into that. And as you can see straight away, I just grab the faders and start to move around, and I can easily basically start to balance and manage the tracks there. So without any kind of MIDI mapping or anything like that, it's all automatically locked into the faders for me. Now I've got the track button here as well. And if I just bounce around a bit here, I can easily just move across to all the various different tracks. We can even go to the effects tracks here as well. Now, if you notice here on the Launch Control XL3, we've now got 3 kind of lit channels here. And if we move back, we'll move back to this level here. Now you'll see we've got 8. So basically, this is kind of following how many tracks I've got available to me in the mixer here. So, I mean, that's pretty straightforward stuff, really. We can just move quickly around and access our various different sections here. Now, above the faders in the mixer section, we've got access to our pan controls. Now, hopefully you can see this. I know that the screen is a little bit kind of small to fit everything in here on the on the table and on the screen for you. But hopefully you can see here on tracks 1 and 2, just above the faders there, I'm able to move the pan controls left and right. So again, a really kind of helpful and useful, helpful and useful sort of section there to basically put your sound in the left and right sort of positioning, as you would when you're doing a standard mix. Now above that, we've got these 2 rows here. And let me just see if I grab the mouse and just scroll down a bit, if I can get the mouse down here. You can see here we've got a load of sends set up. So basically now if I go to, let's see, track 2, I think it will be. Yep, you can see here the reverb in that first send getting moved around. If I grab the second one, you can see I can then use that to control that send as well. And it's quite interesting here because of course we might have more than just 2 sends. The original Launch Control XL really only allowed you to control 2 sends, but now, you know, with the way that we've worked it, we've got the page down button here as well. And hopefully you can see here, now I can open up slots 3 and 4. Well, I've got slot 3 on the first track here. And again, hopefully you can see that, the orange bar moving up and down. So it's giving me access to that. And essentially, that's what we've got here in the mixer level with the Launch Control XL3. Now let's just bring this down a bit again now, so we can kind of see what's going on. Okay, now let's now move to the door control level. So I'm going to press the mode button, choose door control, and now you can see that the LEDs have changed colour directly on the Launch Control XL3, and now we've got a whole load of extra stuff that we can work around with. So let's see, I'm going to let's hit the transport button. Let's just hit play, and I've got this little track that I created before. Hopefully that's coming through. Maybe I do need to mix that up a little bit, so we'll just bring the faders up a touch. Okay, so hopefully that's not too loud and you can hear my voice. Actually, it's a good time for me to sort of say, if you've got any sort of points there, sound-wise, if you can't hear my voice, please make a note there in the comments. I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on the comments as well. They're down here. Try and keep an eye on those as we go through the presentation. Also, I'll see if I can find, if you've got any questions as well, pop those in. But hopefully the sound levels are okay at the moment. So let's switch back to this view. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we've basically got something running here. And we've got this bass part playing, let's see, which is just here. Now, while this is running, we can just explore the buttons at the minute as well. So we've got the option here to be able to record arm and record arm or solo these tracks. So currently they're set to solo. So let's see if I choose this track. There we go. I'm just going to solo the bass. So pretty useful stuff there. If I want to isolate something else, maybe we'll isolate the percussion. There we go. So we've got the solo buttons there. If I press the shift button and then press the solo arm switch here, now they become record enable buttons. And this allows me, of course, to basically record arm any track that I might want to record into. So I'm going to record into the piano track here. Hit the record button because we've got a record, we've got the record button here. And let's just see if I switch back over to this view, I'm going to hit record and just record something in. Let's see what happens. So we've captured that, that's quite nice. Now let's just bring that up a bit in the mix as well. Okay, now of course I can do other stuff as well. So for example, at the minute, this is our track selection switch at the bottom here. And I can obviously select the piano track here, which is what I wanted. But if I press shift and this button now, it becomes mute switches. So I can basically mute everything there as well. So we've got some really useful little, let's switch back to this switch. Spinning a lot of plates here. So now you can see, obviously, I'm just kind of, back into being able to mute stuff. Now, we're in the door control mode here. So let's just mute out the bass as well. So So we've just got the piano there. And we're focused on this track. You can see we've got our track control set here. Now if you look down the left-hand column here in the inspector, you can see what we call let's just bring that down a touch. You can see what we call our quick controls. And these are automatically mapped here now to our electric piano because we're in the DAW control mode. So I can bring in different, make changes to the sound there. And you can see there as well, getting a little readout saying quick control on the on the screen, which is really useful. So, okay, well, let's listen that back into context and mute the rest of the stuff. So really nice stuff. Now, of course, we've got EQs as well on Cubase. So let's just open that up. Let's see. Yeah, we've got the piano EQ here. And I think this row here, yeah, will now allow me to automatically take control of the EQ settings. And then, you know, start to use the controls here to do that. So, yeah. So pretty handy stuff. Other stuff that we've got as well, we've got kind of navigation tools in here as well. But you can see there, we've got a really nice level of control over Cubase. And that's really kind of for the first time for a controller like the Launch Control XL. Oh, wrong switch, there we go. The Launch Control XL, really nice thing to have. So that's Cubase. Let's just take a look now. Now, bear with me a second, because I'm just gonna close down Cubase, quit Cubase Pro. We'll not save that for now. So that's just unloading itself at the minute. So yeah, once that's done, now what we'll do is we shall open up Logic. Let's switch back to this view so you can kind of see what's going on. So let's open up Logic demo. You're going to do that for me? Yes, you are. Thank you. Right. While that's loading up, I think it's probably a good chance for me to just take a look and see if we've got any questions running in. So, okay. Right. So, oh dear me, I've got a little voice is a little out of sync, but the levels are good. That's a shame. I wasn't expecting that to be the case. I do apologise. Sorry if my mouth is out of sync and my fingers are out of sync. Yeah, that's a real shame. There's not a great deal I don't think I can do about that just at this moment, unfortunately. Is there? Let's see. No, I don't think there is. No. Okay, right, I'm afraid to say that's going to have to just be it for the moment, which is a bit of a shame. Okay, let's see. Okay. How we can use third-party plugins. Okay, we'll do a little bit of that, yeah. We'll look at third-party plugins shortly. Okay, yeah. Is this version for Logic Pro more seamless? Well, I hope so, and let's just see if we can find out. So let's switch over again to this switch here, and yeah, some people asking about Logic Pro. Well, basically, I've just opened up Logic Pro. You can see here straight away on the screen that it's recognized there as Logic Pro, and then again, as soon as I start to move the faders, we've got an integration directly in there as well. So straight away, we've got the stuff loaded in, no problem at all. Once again, we've got our left and right pan controls here. You can see hopefully above the faders. And whilst we're in the mixer control mode, we've also got controls over the buses. I'm guessing these are really tiny on the screen at the minute. But yeah, basically, they're automatically mapped in there for you. So we've got all that same sort of control. Again, with the buttons down at the bottom here, we've got our solo record arm. So let's see if we can, yeah. They're all record armed now. We can only see that really, I guess, in the track level, in the arrangement here. Let's see. So yeah, you can switch on the record arm for those. So pretty neat. Again, we can bounce around using the track buttons here to access the different tracks that we've got in here. We've got solo again. So if I press Shift, record arm, these become solo switches. And now, of course, you can isolate the tracks there. We've also got mute switches here as well. Let's see. Oh no, that's a track selection. I beg your pardon. That's the track selection one. And then if we switch that over here, now we have mute switches. So once again, we've got all that kind of typical kind of mixer control you would expect from a controller, but just really nice, easy hands-on access to it all. Now, of course, we have got a DAW control level here as well, and I think this is quite interesting. So let's go to, I wanted to go to the retro synth here. And if I, let's just see if I'm going to, let's see, we'll get to that. Okay. Okay, great. Let's go back to the selector. Oh, I beg your pardon. Right, okay, there we go. And we'll go back to select. And now we're going to move to the DAW control mode, just here. And as I start to play around, well, I've got I'm just going to switch to this because I think I might be sending MIDI to a couple of different places there. Let's go back to DAW control. Yeah. I see what I've got. I've got the, again, not particularly a Logic user, but I've got also the record arm on that bass. We didn't want that. There we go. Okay, now, so we were able to obviously play the instrument there, but let's switch on the smart control so we can see what's going on here. So. And hopefully you can see here, I'm able to instantly take control of the different effects there. Let's go to an oscillator mix. There we go. Hopefully that's okay. That's coming across okay. Okay, so we've got that running. Now, maybe we want to add a little bit of reverb to that. So I'm going to go back to the DAW mixer. And let's see, I think we want bus 4 for some reverb. Move back now to DAW control. So of course I can access the synth. So really neat. So again, we've got the ability to kind of really bounce around all of this stuff and yeah, and essentially take deep control over our DAW relatively easy with with this control surface sat in front of us. Now I did mention before in Cubase you've got the locator, sorry not locator, you've got the navigation tools in here as well. And again, when we're in the DAW control mode, basically now the bottom row of encoders here act essentially, let me just clear this out of the way, act essentially like a whole load of navigation tools. So we've got a song position locator here that we can use to bounce around. And again, we've got a zoom here as well, so that allows us to quickly navigate in, zoom out. We can change the loop start, change the loop end. We don't have a dedicated button for turning the loop on here, but we do have a dedicated pot, so I can turn the loop off and on. Hopefully you can see the yellow bar flashing there at the top of the timeline. So we do have the ability to control that. At the minute, I don't have any locator points put in here, but we do have the ability to navigate our way through. I don't know if you get a flashy screen there, as I am, but basically, yeah, I don't have any navigation, any location points put in there. But if I did, I'd be easily able to scroll through those. And another one that I think is really interesting, if you keep an eye just up at the top here on the on the top bar where the tempo is, you can change the tempo with the pot here as well. And you get a readout here on the screen. So again, really useful little features. I mean, they're not kind of, you know, kind of blow you away features, but they're really, really helpful to have under your hands. And I think that's the thing about the, what I would say about the Launch Control XL really is that it is what you want it to be. And this, I think, is one of the really strong things about what the Launch Control XL3 is. You know, it's a collection of really handy and useful controls, but you can kind of decide how you want to use it. Now, obviously in the DAW scripts kind of world, you know, we're looking at how we use this via the script. So we've got a lot of nice deep integration that we've worked hard on to give you a really good kind of seamless integration, nice kind of flow into the software world. But when it comes to actually creating custom modes yourself, you can basically do whatever you want with these things as well. You can find your favorite types of controls and basically just, yeah, basically create your own kind of control surface with this. Really, really nice thing to play around with. So let's carry on. What was I going to do now? We've looked at all the kind of the stuff here. Oh yeah, the other thing as well, of course, is that we do have EQ. And if I open up the EQ here, I think I'm right in saying if I move down now, yeah, here we go. I've got the ability to kind of access Logic's EQ as well, per track as well. So if I switch to another track, let's see. Yeah, I can you can see that in the little inspector section in the column on the left-hand side there. Basically, yeah, I can basically move along to the tracks and then just basically access the EQs as and when I want them and start playing around with those and getting them where I need them to be. So yeah, so really handy, all there for you. Okay, so we've seen how we can basically use this with both Logic and Cubase. And now I'm going to go back to my home turf, I think. So I'm going to open up Ableton. So not save that. Let's close that down. Ableton project here. Yeah, here we go. Open up Ableton. And what we'll find is that we've got a lot of the similar kind of controls here with Ableton. Let's switch back here so you can see that's loading up. Yeah, we've got a lot of the similar kind of controls that we've seen. The mixer control, all that kind of stuff. We've got some really kind of nice ways of working, I think, with the various different instruments as well. So you can see here we've loaded up and immediately, once again, without any kind of mapping, we've got the faders working there. If I go back to DAW mixer mode, I've got my pans controls here. Hopefully, again, you can see that just to the left of each of the faders. So I'll be able to position those. I've got my sends as well. You can see I've got 3 sends set up here. Again, if I had more sends, it's very straightforward. I just hit the down button here, and now I can control send C in this instance. And if I very quickly throw in another return track here, we get another send, and there it is. It's there available for me. And basically, we've got kind of access to all send and return tracks via the control surface here. So really, really straightforward. Again, if I move to the DAW control mode, now we're able to take control of the various different instruments and whatnot that we have on here. So let's go to something like, I'm going to go to this SEM here. Let's just open this up. So I'm just going to hit this button just to bring it up on the screen. And you can see straight away, hopefully you can see straight away, I'm controlling the filter cutoff here, the resonance, all the various different controls that I've kind of laid out here in the configuration tool. If I go and let's see, I'll go to this track here. This is a home track. What am I talking about? This is a plugin that is obviously part and parcel of Ableton Live. This is the 808 core kit. And now, you know, again, without any kind of setting up, I'm instantly taking control of the various different parameters there. Now let's say we've got a whole load of stuff on here. So let's say I've got a filter on this track, and then I've got a delay as well, and maybe, I don't know, let's say, go for a phaser flanger. There we go. So we've got loads of different things on this particular track now. And we've got what we call the blue hand in Ableton. It might be very difficult to see, but over here on this final plugin, there's a tiny blue hand here. That means that that's the instrument that's focused, and you can actually see that on the screen here. Now, if I press Shift and then the arrow, you can see now the up arrow is, hopefully you can see it's selecting the different plugin that I'm using here on the bottom row. So if I go over here to the auto filter, and now I can take control of the parameters for the auto filter. Again, we get a little bit of screen readout here telling me what it is I'm controlling, so that's all good. And let's say, okay, I want to now bounce to the delay here as well. And I can there, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm controlling the sync. Let's see if I've got more kind of controls here. The filter, I just turned that off, didn't I, somehow? Well, one of the controls there is for the filter. I'm not sure which one. Ah, there it is. It's this one here. Now, actually, this is a good point to mention. If I'm not exactly sure what I'm connected to with my DAW and actually with the hardware as well, if I press and hold the Shift button and move a pot here, this will basically tell me what that's connected to without moving the parameter. So if I need to kind of preview or audition what it is I'm going to be controlling with this parameter, or maybe I just need to find something, then I can use the Shift button just to hold that down, and then I can basically find out what it is I want to control. So once again, if I go back to the auto filter there, okay, I want to find the cutoff. Well, I know it's here, but basically if I press and hold Shift and then move this, you can see it's coming up with frequency. Now I can let go and start to play around and move that around as well. So really, really kind of nice deep control over there as well. Once again, we've got our navigation tools on here. So let's just open up here in Ableton. I've got a song position locator. Let's just zoom back out so we can see. It's going to be very tiny there, but you might see the flashing blue light, flashing blue line. There it is. Okay. I've got a zoom horizontal. I've got a zoom vertical per track, so I can choose the track I want and then make that bigger or smaller depending on what it is I'm working on. I have here the loop, and the loop brace is slightly different. Again, you might miss this, but it's just up at the top line here. And the loop brace basically just moves with this control here. But if I use the second control, I can extend that to wherever kind of length I want it to be. And now again, I can turn that on using this pot here. That's it. Now we've got our locator points, and this is interesting. So if I use the locator point, you see now it's brought up the name of the locator as well. So that's saying verse. And I can move over to this one. Let's see, this is called Evaristo. And then, yeah, move back to all the various different positions with the locator. So pretty useful stuff there as well. And once again, I can change the BPM, which is tucked away right up at the top left there. You might not again see that, but you can hopefully see the bar at the bottom there stretching out in terms of time. So we've got access to all of those kind of parameters there. So, I mean, that's really, I would say, a kind of a good look at all the kind of the DAW types of controls. As you can see, you know, we've got deep level control here with lots of doors, but it's deep level as well. It's not just kind of very basic stuff. We've got, yeah, really great control over Ableton, of course, Cubase, Logic, other software as well, which I've not demoed, FL Studio, and also Bitwig. Bitwig has just arrived as well. We've got a script there now for Bitwig. So if you're a Bitwig user, again, we've got that covered directly in with the Launch Control XL. So really neat stuff. Great stuff. Okay, so let's move on now. And I think it's perhaps time if we switch over here and we'll go to Novation Components. Now, Novation Components is basically the management software for being able to set up your own mappings. Yeah, basically, this is the software that we use to basically create the controller of our dreams. You can see we get a nice graphic in there. In fact, let's just go back a touch so we can kind of see what happens. So if we go back to how it is when you open components, you're faced with the product that you've got connected. I mean, if you don't have it connected, it's not a problem. There's a Show All button here as well. If you click on that, that'll give you the components, allow you to connect to basically any of the Novation's hardware products that work with Novation components. But of course, here is Launch Control XL3. Now, one thing I would say is that we have a standalone version. So if you want to use this directly on your own computer and keep it on there, it's totally fine. There is a standalone version, but also this works with Chrome as well. If you've got, well, basically any kind of browser that supports properly web MIDI. So Chrome is obviously a really great option for that. And that means that you can basically log into your components wherever you are in the world, just connect to, just go to the Web Novation Components site, log in, and then you've got all of your kind of custom modes. You can see here I've made a whole raft of custom modes here, but this is pretty neat too. So out of the box, there's a whole load available from Novation. So Novation, you know, we've put together a series of really useful control surfaces, and I would suggest that these are kind of sort of starting points. They're pretty powerful mappings already, but they're essentially like a nice place for a starting point. So what does this mean in terms of the Launch Control XL? Well, you see we've got our buttons down at the bottom here. And actually, if I press the mode button, well, in fact, if I just tap it now, it'll just hold in this mode select button. And actually, again, let's just bring this up. So now you can see I can choose my different custom modes. So I'm just choosing. In this instance, I've gone a bit wild with the OPXY because we've got 8 tracks on there. So I thought, well, I'll use all 8 of these. So I've got full access to the whole of the OPXY with that. But you can also see I've got other modes down here as well, including circuit tracks, synth, a digitone synth mapping as well, and a couple of other modes. Now we've got 15 of these slots available to us to create a mapping, and 16 is reserved. What does that mean? Well, basically it's reserved, so we can't actually put our own custom mapping into that. That's reserved as essentially a standardized mapping. So if there are any third parties who like using the Launch Control XL, basically that is going to be fixed. So if they wanted to apply the CC values, the numbers that we've got, that is basically locked in there so that you just choose that, and essentially that's going to work directly with whatever product it is that's already pre-mapped, if you like, to a custom mode on the Launch Control XL. So that's pretty neat. So let's just take another quick look at what we've got available within components. So hit Create Custom Mode, and you can see now you're faced with all of the various different different controls. So if I wanted to, change the behavior of this encoder, firstly I can give it a name, which is helpful. So this, of course, everybody's first control, filter. Okay, that is assuming you can spell. Okay, there we go, filter. Now this this encoder has basically 2 different types of message that it can be attached to at this point. And that is a control change message, a CC, or a non-registered parameter number, which is effectively, I guess, a bit like a CC, but in fact it's just an extra set of numbers that a synthesizer manufacturer could use to give you more than the standard 128 CC parameter numbers that are available. And also with an NLPN as well, we can actually, if we select that, we can set the resolution from being 7-bit to 14-bit as well. So we can increase that now. If you can see here, 7-bit is giving us a value from 0 to 127. That's 128 discrete values, because of course 0 is a valid number. And then if you go to 14-bit, then you can see the readout there, the max value is nearly 16.3 thousand. It's a lot of resolution there. So you can be as high resolution or as low resolution as you like. And we can also set a minimum and maximum value as well. So this is quite neat. If you have a controller that maybe, there's a CC number attached to a switch, and that switch has maybe 5 settings. Perhaps you're choosing a waveform on a synthesizer, and you've got, well, let's say you've got 4, oh no, 5. Let's go for 5, why not? But basically, you can cap the amount of values that are attached into that encoder, so it acts a little bit more like a switch across the range of the encoder, which is actually really useful, because if your waveforms are bunched up at the bottom of the 128 values you can access, so sine wave is 0, triangle is a 1, sawtooth is 2, square is 3, and wow, well, let's see, wavefolding weirdy thing is 5. Then basically, if they're bunched at the bottom, it means you've got to be a little bit more precise when you're actually trying to dial that in. But if you set the range to have a minimum value and a maximum value, as you can do here, then basically you can basically make that a bit more usable. We've also got access to changing the MIDI channel for each individual knob as well. Now it can be set to the global channel, and that means that it will follow you around on the device itself. So if I go to my settings here, just press and hold these 2 buttons. Let's see, open that up so you can see. So press these 2 buttons here, that opens up the settings, and we can see I've got a global MIDI channel, and this currently is set to 1, but if I use the pot here, the encoder here, sorry, you can see I can just switch through up to 16. So we have a global MIDI channel, which is quite useful. There are some reasons for that being pretty useful. I'll see if I get a chance to explain those. But if I wanted to isolate it to a specific MIDI channel, I can just choose that, and here is channel 1, channel 2, etc, etc. I can also change the colour. So for the encoders, we have different colours available here. So we can choose the colour that we want. Let's see, let's go for purple. Yeah, that'll do. And yeah, And there we go, we've set up what we want here. I mean, actually, I could also turn it off. And also, if I'm making a mapping that doesn't actually require a control in a certain position on the hardware, you can just click here and you can actually say, actually, just turn that one off. And then it becomes disabled and there's no light attached to it. So that's an easy way that we can set up the pots. It's pretty much the same with the faders as well. We can choose controller change or NRPN. We can change minimum, maximum values, all that sort of stuff that we saw before. Again, if we go to advanced, we can change the resolution of the fader as well. So, you know, again, we can basically choose how we configure this. Now, let's take a moment to think about the buttons as well. So switch over here. So if I click on the button, this is where I think things get a little bit interesting now, because if instead of just having controller change in NRPNs, we can now change it to be a note number. So I could actually, you know, create a little keyboard from the switches at the bottom here if I wanted to. I could give it a note and I could say, okay, let's make that, I don't know, C3, there we go. We can change the behavior as well. So this is set to momentary, which is probably appropriate for a note because it's only going to send out the message C3 for as long as I hold that switch down. But if I switch to toggle, now when I press it once, it's going to switch the note on, which will then hold. When I press it again, then it will switch the note off. So yeah, so we can choose the behavior here. That's quite useful for, yeah, again, for control change messages and that sort of stuff as well. We've got program change. So if I want to be able to send out program change messages to my various different synthesizers so that I can basically, yeah, change the presets that I'm working on, I can quite easily set that to program change. And yeah, we've got it covered. And I guess finally on the component side, I'll show this as well. The keystroke here, this I think is really interesting. So if I choose keystroke and now click on the button, now if I click here for the key combination, I can press, okay, what will I do? I'm going to press Command and T. Command and T. Okay. So that's assigned to this pot here. Oops, sorry, wrong one. There we go. Assigned it to this switch here, a value of Command and T. And that means that when I press this button in my DAW, it's going to do whatever Command and T does within the DAW software. So by that method, what you could say, I guess, really is that it's actually, you know, this is a whole load of shortcut keys that you can create, and you can create as many of these as you want, which I think actually opens up the Launch Control XL not just simply for controlling DAWs or hardware, that sort of thing. You're able to use the Launch Control XL really to create your own mappings for any software. So even if you're, you know, color grading in any, you know, sort of video suite software or artistic software, if you're doing any VJing as well, video, you know, sort of live video work as well, the Launch Control XL is going to really be able to, yeah, to allow you to do that with a lot of ease, and a lot of fun. So yeah, pretty neat kind of set of controls, I think, there. The other thing that's interesting as well with the switches, you can have an on color and an off color. So here's the on color, it'll be white, so you can kind of change that to whatever you want. Maybe you want it red, and maybe the kind of the standard off color there is going to be white. So that means it's going to transition when I hit the switch and it switch it on, it's going to go red, and when I release it, it's going to go white. So again, you know, you've got quite a lot of stuff that you can do there. Yeah, quite a lot of stuff you can do there with the switches. Okay, right, I think hopefully that's kind of given you a bit of an insight into how to create your mappings. Let's take a look now at a slightly different approach, and this is kind of the hardware setup that I've got here as well. Now, before I do this, I'm going to just explain something that I've got going on. Yeah, so I've got something going on here. So if I switch over here, now you can see the layout that I've got. Launch Control XL, OPXY, circuit tracks, and I've also got a Launch Key Mini over here as well. This Launch Key Mini is actually not plugged into a computer or anything. It's being powered by this power brick here, this wonderful MyVolts battery pack there. So it's not actually connected to a computer. It's not sort of, you know, controlling anything via the computer. What I'm doing is I'm taking MIDI out of this with this little MIDI cable here, and that is going all the way over here into the MIDI input here. Now, why am I talking about that? So, well, basically, let's switch to a MIDI mode. What am I going to switch to? Let's go to circuit tracks. Yeah, this one, I think. No, we're going to go to this one, yeah. And I just need to make sure I've got audio coming in. No, not yet. Right, okay. There we go. So I've now got the circuit tracks basically being played by this MIDI keyboard. Now, again, why am I telling you this? That's what you would expect. Well, the MIDI signal is coming in here. This is the MIDI input. And I want to be able to control circuit tracks. Now, traditionally with MIDI, what you would have is you'd have a MIDI input, and that basically, you've got a MIDI output as well. Now, the MIDI input is not necessarily going to be repeated at the MIDI output. If you've got a through switch in there, the MIDI input will be repeated on the MIDI through switch. That's exactly what it does. It just passes the incoming MIDI through the device and on down the MIDI chain, further downstream. But typically, this keyboard here, the launch key Mark IV that I've got here, would come in to the MIDI input here, but I want to control the parameters of the circuit tracks here. It's got a really powerful synthesizer engine in circuit tracks. So how do I get the keys and the controls from this to come out of this to control circuit tracks? Well, that's where we switch in what we call a MIDI merge. And if I, I've shown you, we've got the mode switch here. By the way, I should say that the mode switch can be sticky as well. So what does that mean? Well, basically, if I press and hold it and then, choose another custom mode and then release, it jumps back into the full custom mode. However, if I just tap this button, it will now just stay in custom mode selection. So if you want to bounce around various different tracks, if you've got, I don't know, let's say a digitone and you've got different instruments on the tracks there, you can just sort of bounce around there. In fact, that's exactly what I'm doing here with the OPXY. I've got all 8 tracks available to me just here, so I can just choose which track it is I want to control. So you can do that. So let's see, where was I? I've kind of gone slightly off there. So yeah, I've got here to the circuit tracks here. And if I go shift and mode, this takes me into a couple of settings, and let me just switch back over to this as well, so you can see the screen. I've now got a couple of settings in here. I'll just show that again. So shift and mode takes me into the mode settings, and we can see here I've got external MIDI in is set to on. So that's saying the MIDI input that comes in here is now going to be joined with the parameter control here from the Launch Control XL, which means that gives me now the ability to, if we switch out, play the circuit tracks, and now change the parameters using the controls here. So again, if I just switch over to this shot, you can see here, let's get rid of that. Let's switch. So I'm playing, and now I can control the different parts of the synth. And a bit of noise there, a bit of ring mod as well. Now here, let's see again, switch back to this. Here I've got my amplifier envelope controls. Pretty big sound going on there. Hopefully you can hear that coming through. And again, filter there, of course, everybody goes for the filter. Bring in the second oscillator, maybe change the pitch. So that's a really big sound coming from one of the circuit tracks engines, and I think that's really interesting because the circuit tracks itself is a really powerful, there's 2 really powerful synths in there, but of course by the nature of circuit tracks, with the fact that we have these macro controls and no screen on there, you've got no real direct access to the synthesizer engine. But now with a Launch Control XL, you can open that right up and start to play around with that. Now, if I wanted to play, for example, on circuit tracks 2, I'm going to switch here, which is now selected circuit synth track 2. Let's switch this back again so you can see what's going on. But when I play the keys, I'm not actually controlling that at this point. Let me see if I can switch over here again so you can see. So our MIDI input is coming from MIDI channel 1 from the launch key here. So it's dead straightforward. I just switch that over here, switch it to the appropriate MIDI channel. There we go, and now I'm playing synth 2. And I can play around with this as well. Switch back to here so we can see what's going on. Filter sustain, filter envelope, filter attack. So really neat way of being able to open up any kind of, basically any kind of synthesizer that perhaps doesn't have full panel control on the top there. So really nice way to work there. I've also got, as I've mentioned, I've got here the OPXY. Oh, let's get rid of that. There we go. And so let's say, okay, I'm going to now switch to, let's go to OPXY. And this is track, what do I want? I want track number, let's see, 3, which is this synth here, the Prism synth. I'm going to go to this one. And again, now when I play in the keys, I'm basically able to play track 3 on this. If I switch now to a different key, oh, is that right? Oh no, I know what it is. Basically in this mode I've set up, right, let's just switch back so you can see here, like this. Okay, so I've actually set this up to choose the track, and I'll get back to this. You can see now I can choose the different tracks on the on the OPXY. So go back to this track here. I've got controls for the parameters. You can see that moving around on the screen. Just kind of randomly doing stuff here, but nice to work with. If I switch here so you can see on the screen, I'll go to the filter. So you've got all of that stuff, you've got instant kind of control over all of these. And again, I can choose whichever track it is I want. So let's play this one. Now this is interesting. Yeah, so I can choose the track that I want to play from the switch down at the bottom. But if I want to control that, I need to basically switch to that mode. And there it is. Hopefully that'll come through. You might need a pair of headphones on to hear that sound, but yeah, definitely. I've got headphones on and I can't hear it. Anyway, you see what's going on there. I've basically got all of this kind of stuff set up nicely to work with. So, you know, you can see that the Launch Control XL is actually being really strong here. Now, what's interesting here as well is that I've got obviously my MIDI input coming here, but I'm selecting where I want the MIDI signal to go to. So if I go to my mode again, I'm on the OPXY track here, and let's go into the mode settings, and again, I'll switch on this so you can see the screen. I've got external MIDI on. If I switch down, you can see that I'm outputting on DIN port 1. And actually I can choose between the USB output here, I can choose between DIN 1, DIN 2, or all of the ports, which means that all of the information that's being sent out from here, and also the stuff that is coming in from the keyboard over there as well, that's going to come out of DIN 1, DIN 2, and the USB. So you've got quite a bit of routing capability here with what you're able to do. So really neat kind of setup. Now, let's say I wanted to control all of this stuff together. which of course I can do if I'm not concerned about sort of running running the sequencers or anything like that. I just want to play them. I can just very easily bounce around with this. But let's say I want to perhaps I just want to maybe co-join all of this stuff up to maybe even my DAW as well. So I'm going to let's see what I can do here. So I'm going to actually just do a quick configuration change here. So the OPXY here is set to DIN 1. We can see that. That's pretty neat. So I'm going to just take the MIDI output here. Let's see if I can get that out. Okay. And I'm going to plug that into the MIDI through port. Oops, excuse me a second. MIDI through port here on Circuit Tracks. Now, of course, anything that comes into the Circuit Tracks MIDI input from the Launch Control XL is also getting passed on to the OPXY as well. So why am I doing that? Well, hopefully we'll see. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to shift mode, go into my MIDI settings here, and I'm going to switch them all to all. Okay. So just take a second to do this. Let me just switch it on so you can see me do it as well. Okay, all. Okay, so this is a very specific setup that I want. So, you know, I could have, of course, do all of this very quickly and easily before I start off. Let's see, what's this one? Oh yeah, that's the mixer. Okay, all. And the reason I'm doing this is I want to be able to control all of the devices at the same time. So basically what's coming into the MIDI input here and what's coming out of the Launch Control XL in the custom modes is going to all of the outputs. Okay, now let's switch back over to, if I can find it, Ableton. There we go, great stuff. And we'll switch back to this window here. I'm going to go back to my DAW mixer. Where are we? Yep, there we go. Just get the levels down a little bit as well. Oh, I'm missing a load of media files. That's good. That's not really what I wanted. I didn't see that before. Okay, where would they be, I wonder? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to reopen this time from a different place. Open recent. Just a second. Sorry about this. There's always going to be one thing that goes. Yeah. Okay, we'll go for this one. It's going to be as good as any. Hopefully, I've got all the media files this time. We'll see. Apologies for this. There's always got to be at least one gremlin there, hasn't there? You know, it is a live stream. Hey, I'm getting some colourful clips there. That's what I wanted. Okay, great. So let's switch back here. Now, if I switch this into external now, okay, what should happen is when I, let's see, we'll go here. When I hit the play button here on the launch key, Mark 4, this actually sends out a clock signal. So that's going to go into the Launch Control XL, and then it doesn't matter which of the MIDI modes we're connected to, it's going to send the clock out to everything, because remember, we've got it connected to all. So it's going to connect into Ableton via the USB, and it's going to connect into the OPXY and the circuit tracks, because MIDI out is coming out of here, and it's getting passed on from this into the OPXY. So fingers crossed, this is going to work. Let's see. What am I doing? That's what I'm doing. Right, okay. So I'm going to hit play now. And you can see hopefully now that Ableton has started and it's locked in as well. So if I start to trigger off some clips maybe, so I have to do this with a mouse because I haven't got any, I haven't got any sort of setup there. Again, I can switch into DAW Mixer now and start to play around with this. And maybe I could switch into OPXY Mixer as well. And if I've got some stuff here on the circuit tracks, let's get something on there. Not the best sequence I've ever created, but hopefully see though, everything's kind of connected together. Let's switch back to here. Everything's running. When I press stop here, okay, that stops it. So basically, this is a really quite nice kind of hybrid setup that I've got running, where I'm able to control my DAW software and all of my hardware bits pretty much at the same time. So again, you know, there's kind of a solution for so many different kind of setups with the Launch Control XL. It really is, I think, a superb, superb kind of control surface. Really opened up, you know, it's pretty much, you can do pretty much whatever you need. And I think I said at the beginning as well, you know, this is what you want it to be. You know, it's essentially a collection of controls, and you can determine what these controls do to make your life as easy as you want it to be by creating these mappings directly within within Novation components and saving them. Actually, that's one thing I didn't kind of show. Let's see if I can just send you back here. You know, I can just hit send to Launch Control XL, and you can see here I can send whatever it is I've created, and I can send it into any of these mappings. And let's see if what have I got here on number 15? Number 14, that's the Digitone one. So if I again just switch back like this, there we go. If I hit into 14 now, you should hopefully see all the LEDs change color as it gets fired in. So just hit overwrite custom mode here. There we go, that's taken on here. And now I have got my, I've now got this switch here, which if you remember, I set to Command T. If we go back to Ableton Live, and let's see, if you look over here, in fact, just here, if I press Command T, hey, Command T is create an audio track. So, you know, I can create as many audio tracks as I want now just by simply pressing a button. So really, really great stuff. Really useful, helpful set of controls that you can use pretty much whenever you want, for whatever you want. So I think that's it kind of covered. Now, I guess it's probably wise for me to have a quick look at some of the questions that might have come in. So let me just see. Let's see if there's anything here that I can kind of answer. Now that screen's quite far away, and my old eyes are. Oh my word! There's a lot of there's a heck of a lot of chat here, which is brilliant. Which means there's some people been watching, which is wonderful stuff. Okay. Wireless and battery powered is the game change, please? Well, I have to say I've got one of these recently. This is a power bank from my vaults. Any kind of battery will do it. Oh, and actually there's another thing as well that I should show you. So I'll switch back over to this shot. Here is my USB. This is currently connected to the computer, so I'm just going to unplug it. Obviously that's going to power it down. Now I've got here a little USB connection, and if I switch here, you'll see I'm going to plug this into the OPXY, like so. Okay, and now I'm going to plug it into the Launch Control XL. Ta-da, there we go. That's plugged in there. Switch back to this shot now. And of course, I've been through and changed all the custom mode mappings here. So I'm going to just quickly do that again. Go down to output port. Oh, it's set to all. That'll do actually. I set them to all. So now, let's see, I'll go to track 3, go here, control the filter. There it is, straight away. And what's going on here? Well, basically, this is being powered directly from the OPXY itself. This has got a USB host on it. It powers it directly. It's got enough power to do it. So that is essentially a portable setup. So yeah, I mean, there's your battery power. That's built in here, or you could use an external power bank to do that. So, you know, that it is completely possible, completely feasible to do it. Let's see. Is there a way to rapidly switch through profiles so I can control all 16 tracks on a Digitakt 2? Well, basically, yes. Although we've got 15 custom modes, so I suppose technically you could do 15 tracks. But if you switch the mode button, oh no, wrong button again. I'll get used to it for the end of for the end of the live stream. If I switch the mode in here, now I can just basically choose the tracks that I want to control. So I can set this up, and in fact I've done that on this top row here, as you can see here. Again, I've switched that in so you can see. OPXY track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I do have full access on the hardware here to pretty much every track that I've got going on over here on the OPXY. Let's see. Okay. I like not having a big display. Absolutely. I mean, this is not a big display. It's small, but it's really readable from wherever you're sat. So if I'm sat here, I'm kind of, let's see, I don't know if you can see me doing this. I'm leaning right back here now. And yeah, I can pretty much, well, if my glasses worked properly, I'd pretty much be able to read that. But I can see it's super clear. It's really, really great. Tiny screen, but there's a lot of really useful, important feedback on there. So yeah, let's see what else. Okay. So it's talking about LED rings. Actually, this is something I haven't mentioned. Of course, now, yes, of course you can see here, we don't have LED rings around each of the encoders. However, if you watch the encoder here, hopefully you can see that. I mean, I don't know if my light is perhaps a bit too bright to show that, but basically it's got a dimmable state and a bright state. So basically, it doesn't have LED rings, but you do get indication of what's going on with the LED brightness on there. So yeah, that's perfectly perfectly readable, and yeah, that brightens up and dims down. Let's see, maybe it would work with the orange here, maybe a little better. Okay, see that going down? Yeah, maybe the red here as well. I don't know if you can see that. I've got a whole load of camera lights on here, but basically, yes, I'm getting LED feedback here. It's not a ring that runs around it, but it is a single LED that gives you that. The other thing that I was going to mention as well is, let's go to track 4 here. Now, you can see here on the OPXY filter, and as I move this filter, I can basically be quite precise in the way I'm moving it. So I'm just kind of moving it very slowly, very slowly, very slowly, very slowly, and I'm being accurate here, but I'm having to do a lot of turns there to get to the very top, because I'm actually just kind of being quite accurate with the way I'm twisting the knob. However, if I just want to get quickly swiped up, there you go, back down, and I'm doing a half turn. If you watch my turn here, that's full half. So I can be very slow and precise with my movements, like so, get to where I want it to be, or I can bring it up, bring it down, like so. So that's the acceleration I spoke about right at the very beginning. That, to me, means that the encoder's behavior is essentially, it just feels like a pot. So, I mean, I've seen a few people saying, oh, I really wish we'd kept pots rather than encoders. When I'm working with a synth, I want a pot, I want to feel the end of that kind of travel. And I've got to be quite honest, at the beginning when we were developing the Launch Control XL, I was in camp pot. Maybe I shouldn't say that. That sounds a bit strange saying that, doesn't it? But yeah, I think I was in camp pot initially. However, I'm quite happy to be in camp encoder now, which this is going very strange, this conversation. But basically, yeah, the encoders, they just behave as you would expect pots to be perfectly honest. So, I really don't, I think it's a non-issue really, the difference between potentiometers and encoders. The encoders with that acceleration there, they have that same kind of feel to me as basically any kind of potentiometer really does. So yeah. Okay, let's have another quick look at some of the final run through for the questions. So, yeah, I think we've kind of gone through there. Oh, someone's asking, if you have 8 tracks in Logic, can you slide the 8 active tracks for the faders across the session? So basically, yeah, okay, that's an interesting one. Let me go to the main screen here. Is it that one? Yeah. Actually, no, let's go back to this one. I'm going to switch back to DAW mixer mode. I'm not connected to the computer, am I? Let's just plug that back into the computer. Okay. So I'm going into DAW mixer. Yeah, there we go. And again, you can hopefully see, let's just make this bigger so we can kind of See the faders moving, and this kind of behavior is the same across pretty much all of these. So let's just make that big so we can see. Okay, so we have the faders moving here, and I can use the track switch to access. Now I've got more than 8 tracks here, so this is track 8. Okay, now if that's connected to here. This is still track 8. Now if I move across now, this now becomes track 9, and that's track 8. So they're kind of one by one moving across. However, and this is actually, again, something that's quite interesting. Let's go back to the first track. If I want all of these to bank across now to the next 8, if I press Shift and track, now this one is now track 9, 10, 11, 12. So, and again, this sort of behavior, it matches exactly, again, on all the doors there. So I can, yeah, bank across, or I can just tap the track button across as well. And what's interesting here is, you see here these 3 faders, you would perhaps expect those to be able to control some of the effects here. On the old Launch Control XL, the Mark 1, we weren't able to do that. But if I press Shift and track now, I can now access my auxiliary tracks, my send tracks. This wasn't possible before, so now I have the ability to control the volume, for the delay, the reverb, the reverb, for all of those return channels, and even I can control the sends here as well. So if you want to do a little bit of feedback mixing, yeah, I'm pretty certain you can go ahead and try and set that up in Ableton as well. So yeah, so to answer that question, yes, you can bank across, or you can just tap across individually like so. So yeah, okay. Let's just have a final look through. Gosh, lots of questions. What product do you use for your moustache? Well, I'm afraid to say that that's a trade secret. So I'm not at liberty to say that, but that's a really nice question. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. Okay. I think, yeah. I think we've kind of gone through pretty much all those sort of questions. I mean, I do recommend you do have a good look at the Launch Control XL. Really, really strong device. Yeah, really powerful controller. I'm a very happy man because we've got MIDI DIN on there, and that just means that I can now take control over all of these devices. And yeah, it just opens up a lot more control. I mean, as I mentioned before, with the circuit tracks here, for example, that synth engine is really powerful, but it's buried away behind these macro controls, which is great for the circuit tracks itself. But having something like the Launch Control next to it really opens it up. I was chatting to a colleague of mine 2 days ago. He's using his Launch Control XL attached to a Digitact. And he actually said it's like getting a brand new instrument, which I thought was a really, really nice thing to hear, because basically having this amount of controls, which you can basically configure to do multiple things, just gives you basically a lot more physical real estate to control your devices with. So yeah, so I think there we have it. I think I'm going to finish up now. So yeah, well anyway, listen, I've been talking for quite some time there, an hour and a quarter, on the Launch Control XL. I hope it's been of interest to you, and I really wish I'd stopped pressing this wrong button here. So many different controls here to press and muck around with, but I hope it's been interesting for you. I really do. It's a really powerful piece of kit, and yeah, I think it's really, really nice to work with. So yeah, if you want to get hold of a Launch Control XL, you can check in all your favourite stores online, all your Novation stockists. If you go to novationmusic.com as well, you'll be able to find a bit more information about it there too. But for now, I'm going to leave you to it. So thanks very much indeed. And yeah, hopefully see you again on a live stream again very soon. Okay, thanks very much. Thanks for watching.